divorce concerns and regrets. Mrs. Brown is devastated by the news and pleads with Hank not to go through with the divorce, unable to accept the idea of her son's marriage coming to an end. She is caught off guard by the realization that fights between children can have an impact on custody decisions. The Browns have never experienced a divorce that went to court, as in their generation, women would usually leave the house, car, and children behind and walk away. Hank explains that although the fight between the children was just an accident, people might question whether their custody of Sonny would be conducive to his well-being. Hank calmly persuades his parents that he no longer loves Liberty and believes it is best for both of them to end the marriage. He acknowledges that forcing a relationship to work is not a solution and that it would be difficult for both him and Liberty to continue in such circumstances. As Mrs. Brown breaks down in tears, she smacks her husband in frustration and insists on calling their daughter, Chelsea, to seek her intervention. However, Mr. Brown stops her, recognizing that involving Chelsea would only complicate matters further. He questions whether divorce is the only option and if the compromising pictures are truly such a significant threat to Hank's career. Mr. Brown understands his son's perspective and knows that Hank would not choose divorce unless he felt his career was under threat. Mrs. Brown expresses her anger towards Liberty, believing that she has gone too far and is intentionally trying to destroy Hank's future. She curses Liberty and blames her for the situation, criticizing her for seeking revenge because Hank did not make things easy for her. Mrs. Brown also directs her anger towards Jessica, the other woman involved, accusing her of coming between Hank and Liberty's marriage. Hank defends Jessica, emphasizing that he fell for her first and it is not her fault. Hank reassures his parents, explaining that his decision is based on careful consideration of the consequences. He highlights the financial aspect, acknowledging that he'll feel the impact of giving Liberty a significant amount of money, but he's confident in his ability to regain it, more with his job intact. He warns that if he does not agree to Liberty's demands, she will petition the court for divorce, and he would risk losing his job and reputation. Hank assures his parents that Sonny will still be their grandson after the divorce, and visitations can be arranged. Mr. and Mrs. Brown remain silent, realizing that their son's career is of utmost importance to him. They understand the sacrifices Hank has made to reach his current position and the financial stability he has achieved. They eventually accept that Hank has already made up his mind and there is nothing more they can say to change his decision. Mrs. Brown examines the divorce paperwork and notices discrepancies in the payout amount to Liberty. She questions Hank about it, and he explains that the amount is to compensate Liberty for giving up her rights to the house and car. However, the renovation costs for the house are not included in the settlement. Mrs. Brown feels slightly relieved that they are not responsible for the renovation expenses. The conversation shifts to the compromising photos that Liberty possesses, and Mr. Brown questions how she managed to collect them. Hank admits that Liberty wouldn't disclose the source of the photos or who helped her gather the evidence. Mrs. Brown speculates that Serenity and her husband might be involved in assisting Liberty. They discuss the timing of when Liberty obtained the evidence, realizing that she didn't have it when an incident occurred involving their grandson, Sonny. However, she managed to produce the documents a few days later. While Liberty has many relatives, Hank believes none of them are capable of such actions. Nevertheless, he reassures his parents that everything will be fine as long as they meet Liberty's demands, as she has promised not to retaliate after the divorce. Hank informs his parents that he needs to return home and attend work the next day. He plans to take leave in the afternoon to go through the paperwork. Once Hank leaves, Mrs. Brown expresses her dismay to Mr. Brown, questioning whether they should just let the divorce proceed or try to prevent it. She believes that if they stop the divorce, the estate will not be divided, they will still have their grandson, and their son and daughter-in-law will remain married. However, Mr. Brown points out that Hank has already made his decision, and there is little they can do unless Liberty changes her mind. Mrs. Brown is determined to talk to Liberty and convince her to reconsider the divorce. If that fails, she plans to reach out to Serenity, suspecting that she might be supporting Liberty through this difficult time. Mrs. Brown expresses her frustration at how easily other people seem to go through divorces while their son has to bear the brunt of the consequences. The significant payout involved in the divorce settlement adds to their distress. Mr. Brown suggests that Mrs. Brown and their daughter, Chelsea, are partly to blame for Hank's situation. Mrs. Brown decides to involve Chelsea and immediately sends her a text message inviting her to go into the city with her the following day. However, Chelsea declines, explaining that she cannot take the day off due to work commitments and suggests that Mrs. Brown should go with Mr. Brown instead. Mrs. Brown contacts her daughter, Chelsea, to discuss the situation and arrange a meeting with Liberty and her sister, Serenity. Chelsea reveals that she is facing problems at work and suggests that they let the divorce proceed if Hank wants it. Mrs. Brown informs Chelsea about the alimony and child support settlement, expressing shock at the amount Liberty will receive. Chelsea questions whether Hank has the financial means to fulfill these obligations. Mrs. Brown decides to go into the city the next morning with her husband to talk to Liberty and Serenity. Chelsea suggests focusing on persuading Serenity, as convincing her would likely influence Liberty's decisions. They have a further conversation before ending the call. Later, Serenity visits Liberty's place after work to discuss her housing situation after moving out of the Browns' residence. Liberty declines Serenity's offer to move in with her and instead plans to rent a place and use the money from the settlement for a deposit on a smaller house. She also considers continuing to work at Lewis & Co., or starting a breakfast place if necessary. Serenity assures Liberty that she can lend her money if needed and offers to support her. Serenity spends some time with Sonny and notices the bruise on his face. They discuss the doctor's instructions for hot compresses, and Liberty mentions that she has been following the doctor's orders and the bruise is healing. Serenity suggests taking Sonny out for a stroll the next day and invites Liberty to her shop if she doesn't have anywhere else to go. After a friendly chat, Serenity leaves Liberty's place, while Mrs. Lane remains there to help pack Liberty's belongings. Once the divorce is finalized, Serenity plans to bring people to assist with the move and demolish the house renovations, returning the house to Hank. By the time Serenity returned to Brinfield, Grandma May was already asleep. She tiptoed into the room and took a shower before creeping into Zachary's room. Zachary told her to wait for his return in his bedroom. With a phone in hand, Serenity scrolled for videos in bed until she gave in to the Sandman's dust. She dozed off without knowing her phone had fallen onto the bed. Zachary returned home with glee. Serenity promised him that she would be waiting for him in his room. Zachary deliberately left his bedroom door unlocked before he went out this morning to give Serenity access. He eagerly pushed his bedroom door open the moment he got back. The room was brightly lit. Lo and behold, his wife was lying in bed, but she was asleep. Serenity falls asleep while waiting for Zachary to return home. Zachary enters the room with excitement, planning to propose to her with 2 diamond rings he bought from Nana. However, he realizes that Serenity is fast asleep and pinches her cheeks playfully. He kisses her face and places her phone on the bedside table before comforting himself with the fact that at least she is in his bedroom. The next morning, Serenity wakes up to find Zachary standing before her with a huge bouquet of flowers. She expresses surprise and happiness at his return. They exchange greetings and Zachary teases her about falling asleep while waiting for him. Serenity accepts the bouquet and admires the beautiful flowers. Zachary explains that he had them specially delivered from a flower field, as no florist is open at that early hour. He waits for Serenity to be moved by his gesture and rewards him with another kiss. Serenity asks if the occasion is special, but Zachary insists that there doesn't need to be a specific reason to give her flowers. Zachary then presents Serenity with 2 jewelry boxes and opens them to reveal rings. He explains that they had been married for a while, but Serenity has been missing a ring. He slips a ring onto her left ring finger and asks her to wear it at all times, especially in front of Sean, to showcase their marital status. Serenity, though surprised, accepts the ring and playfully teases Zachary about his jealousy. She puts the ring on his finger as well, complying with his request. Zachary and Serenity are in their bedroom, and Zachary asks Serenity to put the ring on his finger. As she does, Zachary tenderly requests that they promise not to talk about splitting up or divorce. Serenity hesitates and expresses her concerns, stating that cheating men should be dumped and that she can't promise not to bring up divorce if Zachary turns out to be like Hank. Zachary had hoped to get a promise from Serenity so that she wouldn't leave him when he revealed his true identity. However, Serenity remains clear-headed and refuses to make such a promise, suspecting that Zachary may have done something wrong and is trying to sweet-talk her. Zachary assures her that he has not done anything wrong and denies the possibility of cheating, explaining that he had been single until his arranged marriage with Serenity. Serenity questions his motives, but Zachary dismisses her concerns and suggests they revisit the topic in the future if necessary. Serenity's mind is preoccupied with her sister's separation from Hank, but she expresses her happiness at receiving the bouquet and the wedding ring in the morning. They playfully banter, and Serenity realizes that certain things come naturally to men, such as sweet talking and romancing, which Zachary seems to have picked up quickly. Serenity then goes to the bathroom, and Zachary contemplates Nana's advice about being intimate with Serenity. When Serenity returns, Zachary informs her that he will be going away on a business trip in 2 days, and Serenity asks him how long he will be gone. Serenity and Zachary have a conversation about Zachary's upcoming business trip. Serenity offers to help him pack and drive him to the airport, but Zachary seems to have something else on his mind. He pulls her back and gazes into her eyes, but Serenity doesn't understand his intentions. She wonders if he wants her to accompany him on the trip, which surprises Zachary. He was actually expecting her to see him off at the airport, not join him on the journey. Serenity finds Zachary's words and actions confusing and comments on his recent charm and romantic gestures. Zachary assures her that there's no ulterior motive and that he can't cheat on her because he has no interest in other women. He explains that he was single until his arranged marriage to Serenity, and he doesn't understand why she's suspicious of his intentions. Despite the misunderstanding, Serenity decides to change the subject and asks Zachary if they should have breakfast at home or go out. Zachary, still feeling a bit grumpy, tells her to decide. They end up having breakfast at home, and Serenity prepares a simple meal for Grandma May and Zachary. During breakfast, Serenity's phone rings. Seeing an unfamiliar number, she assumes it's from her unscrupulous relatives who have caused trouble in the past. She rejects the call, but they continue to call her multiple times. Annoyed, Serenity finally answers the call with an icy tone. The caller reveals himself to be her granddad, old Mr. Hunt. He expresses disappointment in Serenity's lack of respect and implies that she should have more regard for her elders. Serenity, unimpressed, sarcastically suggests that he should go and tell on her to her deceased parents in the afterlife, as they were the ones who raised her. Old Mr. Hunt becomes angry and hurt by Serenity's response. He feels like she is rushing him to his grave and brings up the fact that her parents have been gone for more than a decade. The strained relationship between Serenity and her grandfather is evident in their conversation, highlighting past conflicts and tension within the family. Serenity and old Mr. Hunt's phone conversation continues. He demands Serenity to come to her shop immediately to unlock the door and provide breakfast for him and her other relatives. Serenity, unimpressed by their entitled attitude, suggests they find breakfast at one of the many nearby establishments. However, her cousin John takes over the call and politely asks Serenity to join them at the shop to discuss something important. Zachary, who has been secretly dealing with Serenity's relatives, expresses concern about their persistent demands for money. He predicts that they will continue to hound Serenity since they have nothing to lose. Serenity acknowledges their intentions but firmly states that she will not comply with their request to pay for her grandmother's medical fees. She believes that since her cousins and other relatives are financially well off, they should take responsibility for their mother's medical expenses. Zachary offers to drive Serenity to the shop later, and Grandma May insists on accompanying them to meet Serenity's relatives for the first time. Although Serenity finds their behavior absurd, she acknowledges that they are still her family by blood. With determination, she declares that she will not give them any money, emphasizing their greed and lack of conscience. Granddad and Grandmom hasn't aged to the point that they're mobility impaired, nor are they confined to the bed due to any illness. Yet, their children and grandchildren are already expecting Serenity to step up to the plate and take responsibility. In the event the old couple was to be bed-bound, their corpses would not even be discovered until they were rotten. Every time Grandmom and Granddad were feeling under the weather, it was Serenity's parents who brought them to the hospital and took care of them back when her parents were still around. Nevertheless, Grandmom often speaks ill about her parents to the townspeople. Grandmom and Granddad should take a good look at how their favored children were treating them now. Serenity, Zachary, and Grandma may prepare to face Serenity's demanding relatives who are waiting at her shop. Serenity smirks at the thought of Karma catching up with her grandparents for their mistreatment of her and her sister. Despite Serenity's insistence that she can handle the situation, Grandma may insist on accompanying them, believing they could use an extra pair of hands. After finishing breakfast, Grandma May advises Serenity to not spoil Zachary too much and encourages her to get him involved in household chores. She emphasizes that their home belongs to both of them, and they should work together to run it. Serenity assures her that Zachary already helps around the house, unlike her brother-in-law Hank, who expects her sister to do everything for him. Grandma May advises Serenity to guide Zachary and teach him to be a good man, emphasizing that men can become lazy when they are pampered. She encourages Serenity to take the lead in the relationship and mentions that Zachary will spoil her when he cares about her. Serenity remarks that Zachary might accuse Grandma May of playing favorites if he hears about her advice, but Grandma May asserts that she wants Serenity and Zachary to live happily ever after. Grandma May expresses her support for their love and disapproval of stirring up trouble and drama in relationships. She criticizes the idea that divorced individuals can easily find better partners and highlights the importance of considering the character and family background of potential spouses. Grandma May is determined to maintain a supportive and harmonious environment for the younger generation, rejecting the idea of causing strife and playing the role of the devil. Zachary overhears Grandma May's conversation with Serenity in the kitchen. He is aware of his grandmother's favoritism towards Serenity and how she sees her as a granddaughter. Grandma May had been hoping for a granddaughter but ended up with grandsons. However, she made it her mission to bring Serenity into the York family, wanting her to be a part of their lives forever. Zachary helps with the household chores, washing the dishes and cleaning the stove, while Serenity brings out his jacket and tie. Serenity's gesture pleases Grandma May, who understands the importance of give and take in a relationship. She believes that in a relationship, both parties must contribute and support each other. After half an hour, they arrive at the shop where Serenity's relatives are waiting. Old Mr. Hunt asks Mike to bring him a chair while the rest of the family stands or squats at the entrance. John, Serenity's cousin, is anxious and fearful of the consequences of their actions against Serenity. He believes their family's misfortune is a result of someone supporting Serenity. The family is also there to discuss Liberty and Hank's divorce. Mrs. Brown, Liberty's mother-in-law, came to the hospital with money and asked old Mr. Hunt to talk Liberty out of the divorce. He accepted the money and took on the task, bringing his children and grandchildren to meet Serenity beforehand. When Serenity arrives, old Mr. Hunt confronts her, criticizing for making them wait. Serenity and Zachary assist Grandma May into the shop, and Jasmine, Serenity's best friend, pulls out a chair for her. Jasmine whispers to Serenity that their family has not come in peace and that they won't leave until they see the money. Serenity pats Jasmine's arm, providing comfort and reassurance. Serenity introduces Zachary to her granddad, old Mr. Hunt, who is initially taken aback by their relationship. He compares Zachary to Liberty's husband and concludes that Zachary is a better choice. However, he expresses disappointment that both Serenity and Liberty did not provide financial support to their grandparents after getting married. Old Mr. Hunt believes that as grandparents, they should receive financial assistance from their granddaughters. Grandma May, Zachary's grandmother, joins the conversation and calmly responds to old Mr. Hunt's comments about financial support. She states that they will provide what is necessary for Serenity but will not interfere in how she chooses to use the money. Grandma May's response implies that the Hunts will need Serenity's permission to access her money, as she has proven to be more capable and savvier than them in previous confrontations. Old Mr. Hunt changes the subject and asks Serenity if her sister, Liberty, is filing for divorce. He explains the reason they're there is to support Liberty and try to persuade to save her marriage. He justifies Liberty's husband's actions by claiming that he only strayed due to business engagements and suggests that they can teach him a lesson if necessary. Old Mr. Hunt urges Serenity to talk sense into Liberty and convince her not to get a divorce. He emphasizes the importance of family support and suggests that Serenity and Liberty will face difficulties with their in-laws if they don't have their family by their side. Old Mr. Hunt asks Serenity to take the high road, be forgiving, and stop giving their cousins a hard time. He defends the Browns while pleading for understanding and unity among the family members. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Voice Novel, and select all from the notification bell, so you will get notified whenever a new video is uploaded. Thank you.